right now, you might feel like you're fighting this massive high-stakes battle.
Oh, yeah, like constantly.
Right. You might be stressing over a career trajectory or, your social standing, or maybe a really complex project.
Or just trying to maintain your sanity while staying informed about the world.
Exactly. Just trying to survive the news cycle. But okay, if you look at it from the universe's perspective, you are a snail.
A snail.
Yeah, a snail engaged in this vicious, bloody combat with another snail, all for control of a single tiny leaf.
It's a jarring perspective shift for sure.
Totally jarring.
But when you're dealing with that very specific modern exhaustion, where you spend an hour trying to catch up on the news or learn something new, and instead of feeling empowered, you just feel,
Heavy, like incredibly heavy and drained.
yes, exactly, you feel drained. And that kind of shock to the system, like the snail analogy, might be the only way to actually break the cycle.
I mean, we are consuming more data right now than any generation in human history.
Oh, without a doubt.
And you, listening to this, you love learning. You crave knowledge, but the sheer volume of it all creates this suffocating burnout.
Like a mental fog.
A mental fog, exactly. And that is exactly what we are dissecting today on this deep dive. We're looking at this really evocative 2018 essay by a writer named Xu Feng.
Yeah, it's called Out of the Smog of Human Nature.
Right. So the mission here is to unpack Xu Feng's striking metaphor for this psychological chaos and, try to extract the specific ancient-inspired steps this essay offers for finding clarity.
Especially when everything around you just feels totally unhinged.
Totally. Okay, let's unpack this because we have to start with the title itself.
The smog of human nature.
Right. The core argument here is that the most lethal pollution we face isn't environmental.
No, it's not.
Like, forget car exhaust or industrial waste. The real danger is the smog of human nature.
And Xu Feng paints this incredibly bleak internal landscape here. Under this psychological smog, he says the sky dims, rivers cry, and everything just feels desolate.
Wow. Rivers crying.
It's intense. The truth twists. Good and evil become completely disguised, and our basic psychology just goes deviant. It gets warped.
But I think what really demands attention is the mechanism of how this smog actually originates, right?
The root cause.
Because there's this compelling theory presented that human nature doesn't actually start out polluted. It begins inherently pure.
Spotless and bright.
Yeah, like a polished mirror. But then the unavoidable realities of existing just kick in.
You have to eat.
Right.
You need clothes. You need to find shelter, deal with getting sick.
But, I mean, I get surviving. Nobody's immune to needing food and shelter.
Sure.
But survival itself doesn't cause a mental breakdown. So at what exact point does, buying groceries or paying a mortgage morph into this toxic fog that blinds us?
Well, the transformation happens when those basic finite needs inflate into complex, endless desires.
Endless desires.
Exactly. We secure shelter, but then we decide we need to be universally respected.
Right. The shelter isn't enough anymore.
No, it's not. We want to show off our talents. We want to leave a massive legacy. We start accumulating power and fame and beauty.
Just keep wanting more.
We stop surviving and we start aggressively struggling for supremacy. And the struggle itself becomes the atmosphere we breathe.
It reminds me of a pristine watershed. Imagine your mind is this clear, flowing mountain river. Getting your basic needs met is just taking a drink from the water.
Right, it's natural.
It doesn't disrupt the flow at all. But chasing relentless status and wealth, that is like damming the river to build a massive, sprawling luxury resort.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
You block the natural flow, the water stagnates, and suddenly it starts breeding this thick, toxic algae. Zhou Feng actually refers to this process as the mirror being crept by dust.
Yes. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, all of those compounded desires create active emotional pollution.
Active pollution, not just passive.
Exactly. This isn't just a passive state of being, a little stressed out from work. It actively generates anxiety, resentment, anger, contention. Those specific emotions act like heavy sediments rising up, and they thicken into the very air we breathe mentally.
The smog.
That is the smog. It's a pollution manufactured entirely by our own runaway desires. We're basically trapping ourselves in a self-made environmental disaster.
So once that mirror is completely caked in dust and we're just choking on the smog of our own ambition, our perception of reality completely warps.
Completely.
And I think this explains why modern life feels so dizzying to so many people. The essay says we are submerged in a sea of countless information, just drifting along, rushing around like ants on a hot pan.
Ants on a hot pan. It's such a visceral image.
That visual just hit so hard for me. You're moving frantically, reacting to every single news notification, every social media trend.
But you aren't actually getting anywhere.
Exactly. You're just burning your feet on the pan.
And that physical rushing around, it's accompanied by severe psychological instability.
Because you can't focus.
Because the mind is so impetuous, right? It can't find quiet. So our moods just swing violently. 1 minute you're ecstatic, feeling like the absolute master of life.
Master of life, yes.
And then the very next minute you plunge into this bottomless abyss of resentment, just complaining about heaven and earth.
It sounds exhausting.
It is. It's an exhausting pendulum swing between a God complex and total despair.
But wait, if this smog makes us feel so terrible, like, if we're swinging wildly between mania and misery, why do we stay in it?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right. Like, why don't we just realize we're suffocating and, I don't know, walk away?
Because of bizarre paradox that occurs when you're deeply entrenched in it.
Okay.
You would assume being lost in a dense fog would make someone feel humble, or at least uncertain.
Yeah, because you can't see anything. You should be cautious.
Exactly. But Zweifing argues the exact opposite happens. The more severe the smog of human nature becomes, the more a person develops an illusion of massive superiority. They actually start to believe, and this is a quote, "Everyone is sleeping, but I am awake."
Ah, the ultimate woke illusion.
Exactly.
In the most blinding fog imaginable, people somehow convince themselves that they are the sole visionary who can see clearly.
It's pure ego.
They think they've outsmarted the whole system while everyone else is just a mindless sheep.
But it's a delusion born entirely of the smog itself. The fog isolates us. We can't see the horizon, so we just assume our immediate limited surroundings are the entire universe.
Right, we mistake our little bubble for reality.
But there's a stark warning attached to this arrogance in the text. When that illusion inevitably collides with reality, when a wave hits them, to use the essay's phrasing, the truth is exposed.
And it's probably not pretty.
Not at all. These individuals realize they haven't outsmarted anything. They've just been dragged into the mud by their own cleverness.
Wow.
They're trapped, or they look around and find they've simply been abandoned by the times.
Okay, so recognizing the symptoms, the ants on a pan, the wild mood swings, the superiority complex, that's all crucial. Right.
But how do we actually get out? Like in a state where you literally can't tell good from evil, where you reap beans from melon seeds because everything is so upside down. What is the first step?
Well, the essay says you must light up the sacred lamp that is in your heart.
The sacred lamp.
And maintain the bottom line of your human nature. It's entirely an internal fix first. You don't try to clear the smog around you.
You clear the space within you.
Exactly.
I have to push back here, though.
Okay, go for it.
Because Zweifing explicitly tells the reader, don't try to look for shortcuts, don't worry. But honestly, if you suddenly realize you are trapped in a toxic smog, scrambling wildly for an immediate exit is like basic human instinct.
It's the fight or flight response.
Right. It feels almost irresponsible not to panic and try to fix things externally.
I get that. The instinct to scramble is natural, but the scrambling is the smog.
Oh.
The more anxious you become, the more disorderly your actions get. Think of thrashing in quicksand.
You just sink faster. Exactly. The true antidote prescribed here is stillness. You have to let that impetuous mind calm down. If you run around trying to fix the chaos externally, by arguing with people or trying to control situations, you're really just kicking up more dust onto your own mare.
So you have to resist the urge to react to the chaos, which is so hard.
Incredibly hard.
Zweifing gives some very pointed directives on this, actually. Do not go with the wave of the times. Do not trust the instigation and incitement from any information.
Right.
Just guard your own field. Stop trying to fish in troubled waters.
Which basically means stop trying to capitalize on the mess around you for personal gain.
Yeah, don't use the chaos to get ahead.
And to help tend that field, the essay recommends reducing desire, restraining impulses, and this is really interesting, communicating more with ancient spiritual figures.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about this. Zweifing specifically points to Jesus, Shakyamuni the Buddha, and Lao Tzu.
It's a fascinating trio.
It is.
Yeah.
But they aren't being used here to push like a specific religious dogma, are they?
No, not at all. These figures are invoked more as ultimate archetypes of clarity.
Okay, so how do their specific philosophies serve as an antidote to the smog?
Well, they all taught mechanisms for detaching from the immediate materialistic panic of their respective eras.
Like what?
So, Buddha taught the cessation of desire to end suffering. Lao Tzu taught the concept of wu wei, or effortless action flowing like water rather than fighting the current.
And Jesus.
Jesus advocated storing up treasures in heaven rather than accumulating wealth on earth.
Ah, I see.
They all stood completely outside the smog of their times. They refused to struggle for money or power. So, by aligning your thoughts with your teachings, you anchor yourself to something permanent.
Something above the fog. And Sufeng weaves in this classic biblical echo to drive that separation home. When the smog clears, the purity of the old is restored, and what belongs to Caesar will return to Caesar, and what belongs to the greatest creator will return to the creator.
It's the ultimate separation of worldly noise from eternal quiet.
And that separation happens in your own mind. There's this profound psychological truth captured in the essay that I just love. It says, if your heart is luminous, there is a blue sky even in a dark room. If your thoughts are dark, there are ghosts even in the day.
Wow. Your internal state actively projects your external reality.
If your thoughts are dark, there are ghosts even in the day. I feel like that is something you should write on your bathroom mirror in dry erase marker.
Definitely.
But maintaining that luminous heart in a society that is constantly screaming at us to react, to hustle, to compete, it requires a massive perspective shift.
Right, guys.
We have to completely reevaluate our place in the universe.
And this brings us to karma, which is described by Sufeng as the iron law of the universe.
The iron law.
Yes. The core mechanism of this law is absolute equilibrium. What you give is exactly what you receive. We're urged not to focus narrowly on one single moment or one isolated event.
Right, because if you only look at today, the smog makes it look like the greediest, most aggressive people are the ones winning.
Exactly. But today's elation cannot avoid tomorrow's wretched circumstances. You might be incredibly smug right now, riding high on your wealth or your status.
You might dominate the competition in this life.
But stretching the timeline reveals the iron law. That same narrow, aggressive behavior might leave you shackled and slaughtered in the next life.
Wow.
It forces you to stretch your perspective far beyond the immediate gratification of the ego.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Sufeng uses some striking poetic imagery to highlight just how petty our daily struggles actually are.
The flint light.
Yes, asking, when competing in the time of a flint light, what is a long time?
And a flint light is just that instantaneous spark when two stones strike together.
Exactly, a split second. That is our entire lifespan in the grand scheme of things.
It's humbling.
Very. And then comes the snail imagery we talked about at the top of the show. When contending for the space as big as snails' horns, what is success?
It brilliantly illustrates the futility of unchecked ambition. We exhaust ourselves fighting for supremacy over literally nothing.
Over a snail's horn.
Right. And Shuifeng paints this haunting picture of forgotten empires to prove this point, describing broken walls where foxes sleep and deserted platforms where rabbits walk.
Ruins.
Yeah, all of these ruins were once at the very centers of the world. They were places of singing and dancing.
Places people fought and died for.
Exactly. The battlefields where so much blood was shed for glory, they are now just yellow flowers covered with cold dew and withering grass in the mist.
Foxes sleeping on broken walls. It really does force you to step back. Suddenly, that intense argument you had in the comment section this morning, or, the stress over a perceived slight at the office, it just dissolves.
That doesn't matter.
Sufeng actually follows those images with a series of rhetorical questions. Who won? Who lost? Who was complacent? Who was frustrated?
And the unspoken answer is that time erases all of it. Every frantic, ego-driven victory and defeat is eventually swallowed by the mist.
Which is why the advice is to remain completely undisturbed.
Right. Whether you are granted a massive favor or subjected to public humiliation, you should watch leisurely flowers blooming and falling.
Watch leisurely flowers blooming and falling.
Yes. You eliminate the contempt in your heart, and suddenly the fragrance of flowers and the chirping of birds appear right in front of you.
It's a total surrender of the need to control the uncontrollable.
Absolutely.
But, this leads to an instruction from Sufeng that feels incredibly counterintuitive.
Oh, the part about the future?
Yeah, because after all this talk about staying still, watching the flowers, and guarding your own field, the essay makes a hard pivot and says, don't live in the present, but live in the future.
Yeah, in the context of modern wellness advice, which is absolutely obsessed with being present, it sounds almost wrong.
Right.
But the mechanism behind it makes perfect sense when you actually understand the environment we're in.
Wait, I need to challenge this a little bit. Living in the future sounds like pure escapism. How is daydreaming about some utopian tomorrow any different from, I don't know, doom scrolling on your phone to escape the stress of today? Isn't it just another way to avoid reality?
That's a fair point, but escapism is trying to numb yourself to the present. Living in the future, as Yuefeng describes it, is about using a pristine vision to anchor your resilience in the present.
Anchor your resilience.
Okay, because if you fully immerse yourself in the chaotic, smog-filled reality of today, you risk adopting its twisted logic. You become the ant on the hot pan. You start believing the smog is all there is.
So what exactly is this future we're supposed to be anchoring ourselves to?
It's a vision that acts as the absolute antithesis of the smog. Juefeng envisions an era where the mountains and rivers are splendid, where the whole world is one family.
One family.
Yeah, it's described as a poetic, picturesque Xanadu filled with happy laughter and cheerful voices, a suffocatingly beautiful era that mankind dreams of, which is approaching all civilized people.
That's beautiful.
And by holding that pristine, unified vision in your mind, it acts as a compass.
So even if you are standing in the middle of a muddy, chaotic present, your internal sky remains clear because your compass is pointed straight at Xanadu.
Exactly. The vision of the future becomes the sacred lamp you use to navigate the present without getting lost in the fog.
So what does this all mean for you? It means that recognizing the smog is the very first step to regaining your sanity. You don't have to fix the whole world.
You can't fix the whole world.
Right. You just have to guard your own field, stop contending for space on the snail's horn, and clean the dust off your own mirror.
Keep your internal sky clear.
But I want to leave you with a completely different thought to mull over today. If Xu Feng is right, if we are supposed to hold on to this vision of a suffocatingly beautiful future to keep our own minds clear, what does that mean for the people around us right now who are still choking on the smog?
That's a heavy question.
Do we have an obligation to wade back into the fog and pull them out? Or, in our attempt to simply guard our own field, do we just watch them struggle from the safety of our pristine garden? Also, look around your life today. What is one necessity you're desperately chasing right now that might actually just be adding dust to your mirror? Thank you for taking this deep dive with us. Keep your internal skies clear, and we'll catch you next time.